Hello, Diane here with another journal to share with you. This one, it measures 5 by 7.5 and it's quite thick. I made the spine 2 inches and it's made with this vintage book cover called A Girl in 10,000. This is a custom order. We had decided that I was going to use vintage ladies and flowers in this book, but then she said that she had gone on a trip to Europe with her family a few years ago and kind of wanted to use this as a journal. And I don't know if she was going to put keepsakes in here or not, but she wanted to use this to journal about that trip to Europe. So she wanted some travel things in it. So then I was trying to figure out how I'm going to combine vintage girls and flowers and travel. But I had this travel documented pad from Teresa Collins. I've had this for several years because I was going to make a journal about a smash book about my cruise, which was like 4 years ago, and I haven't made the smash book yet. So I used some of the papers and cards from that. And while I was constructing this book, I suddenly thought, I bet Mrs. Coggs has some images that I could use. So I went to the Mrs. Coggs Crafts on Etsy, and sure enough, I found a set of digital images called A Sea Voyage. So I used some of those images. So there are 3 signatures in here. I put Mod Podge on the cover just to protect it. It was not a very thick and sturdy book. The edges were very frayed, so I covered them. And so I thought the Mod Podge would help protect it. And I had to, you can see how worn it is on the back, but I really like the way that looks. I had to construct a new spine. The spine disintegrated. I couldn't even use it to make a bookmark like I like to do. So I made a 2-inch spine out of chipboard and covered it with Tyvek and then some of the Teresa Collins paper. And then after I stitched it in, I covered it with that burlap, or not burlap, kind of a canvas trim. So this was the illustration on the book, and then I added this little collage at the bottom with some gessoed corrugated cardboard and a couple of images. Well, all of these images were cut from the Teresa Collins travel paper. So it's kind of a mix of modern and vintage in here. I hope that Maria likes the way it looks, and let me know if you think I was successful at marrying the two. I mean, you know, a junk journal is a junk journal. You kind of mix things up, so I think I did a decent job with it. So here is an Ex Libris book plate cut from an old Reader's Digest that I stuck in there because it was a pretty color with this. These pages, all of these pages here are from the Teresa Collins collection, and this is cut from that also. So I made this little pocket here. This is a card from that collection. It says Observations, and then I just made this tag with a couple of little cutouts from that collection. This is a cutout from that collection, and you can remove the brad. I put a tab on it, and then a brad, and then there's stamped journaling on the back, stitched on there. So you can take it off to write on it. I'll put that back on later. And then there was a whole 12 by 12 sheet of words in little rectangle boxes. So I used quite a few of them in the journal, so I cut them out, and this is stitched to muslin and then to a darker fabric and then stitched on there. It says World Traveler. And there's a stamp, and then a stamp that says Travel, a definition. Here we have a coin envelope that it was the right width for these journaling cards, but it was too long, so I trimmed off the bottom and then stitched it to the right length. This is an itinerary card, which I thought was great to put in the very beginning. And there's one of the flowers. I think that's Tsunami Rose. It says itinerary 2 on the flap, and then this is cut from the Teresa Collins. This has a bulb pin. I put a little eyelet here so it wouldn't tear, and then I put a bulb pin on and a piece of lace and a little tag. And then this is, I cut this from one of the sheets of paper from Teresa Collins. This is a stamp. I stamped it onto this brown paper and tore it and glued it on. The fabric collage is right here with some lace. And then I paper clipped a scrapbook paper on that has one of the Sea Voyage images from Mrs. Coggs, and it's fabric behind it. It's all stitched together. This is, well, I'm not going to say who it is because I can't remember if it's Ephemera's Vintage Garden or Tsunami Rose, but it's one of them. Here I have a pocket stitched on with a little lace and fabric, and I used a postcard image of a vintage lady, and I made a little booklet, and then this is one of the Mrs. Coggs images. Picture Perfect up here. It's stitched to muslin. This is from a vintage atlas that I have, and I used pages from Europe. This one is France, and I think, yeah, no, it might just be the whole of Europe. Yeah. I used a page of Europe and cut it in half, and then I had another page that had France on one side and Germany on the other side. So I used those pages. I don't know where in Europe they went. I should have asked more questions. Here I have paper clipped a little packet. This is a band that I purchased from an Etsy seller, a digital printout of several of these bands. And I cut it out and glued it together, and I will link the seller below because right at this moment I don't remember who the seller was. Inventory tag that's been coffee dyed, and a travel log, and another card that I got from the Teresa Collins paper, and I just wrapped this band around them and paper clipped it to the page. There's a postcard pocket there. This is Ephemera's Vintage Garden, and here's a little vellum metal rimmed oval tag, and I stamped Bon Voyage on it and put a little piece of silk ribbon in it. And this is a Paris little postcard thing with some muslin and lace. And what did I drop? Oh, a Mrs. Coggs image. This is a little piece of muslin, one of those printed ones you could get at Michael's once upon a time, and I happen to have some left, and this one is a suitcase that says travel. There's a little pocket here with some trim and ribbon and a couple of Mrs. Coggs images that I printed out onto ivory cardstock so they can be journaled on the back. Lots of space for writing. And this one is a piece from the Teresa Collins. Both of these are. So this is just a border decoration, and this is a tuck spot. And I put a couple of the cards in there. There's a stamp I have of the Eiffel Tower. And this page has a compass and the word location stitched on there with some fabric. Here's another, I'm not going to take this off, but each of the signatures begins with one of these tags that has a brad holding it on and a journaling spot. This one says where we went. And then there's a word here that says going places, and it's stitched to some fabric. This is one of the sheets from Teresa Collins with all these traveling words. The definition for journey and the Big Ben. A film strip. This is cut from Teresa Collins. Another one of the envelopes. It says enjoy the journey. There's a card inside, and then this is tucked behind. Another stamp on brown paper. You're supposed to check off where you went. The mountains, the city, the beach, or the desert. Another Mrs. Coggs image, stitched to fabric and paper with some trim. And this is, I don't remember, I put in a few just random digital printouts that I've had printed out for a while, so I just put them in. I made a little pocket here with this pretty lace, and another booklet here with a Mrs. Coggs image, and the map, one of the map pieces is used as the cover for this. And another Mrs. Coggs image there. This one says Voyage. Map page. This one has little top note shapes. Another one of those packets that has journaling cards and a inventory tag. This one says Remember This. Take a picture. Another pocket with a couple of cards. This is stitched on. This is not from the collection. It's a pad of journaling cards that I've had for a while. It says favorite part of the trip. I glued it on as a pocket and then put this little tag in there. This is from Teresa Collins. And there's a picture, a little stamp I have of the Parthenon, I think. And then this is the bottom part that I cut off one of the coin envelopes. So I inked it up and glued a couple of things on it and put a Vintage Lady on there with a little muslin tab. And this is stitched on with some fabric up there. And here's the last signature. It says Remember This, stitched to fabric. And this tag, can you see it? Trip meter. So there's a hand there, definition of memories, another envelope, says Getaway, and card that says Remember the Moment. And one of the sheets from the Teresa Collins has a bunch of big words, traveling words, and I just cut it out in the shape of a tag. I've got to put some seam binding on that. I forgot to do that. And there's a little journaling spot up here. Where we went, a fabric collage, another image stitched to fabric, and then the coffee dyed paper. Another one of my random printouts. This one has a little glassine bag, one of the midget bags from A Tattered Dream. And I put on this Tsunami Rose image and then this little image that I don't know where I got it from. I'll put some floss or silk ribbon in there too. Thought I was done. Some more map page. It's glued to the map there. Another packet with some journaling cards. And the bottom of a coin envelope. And this one says location. Some pretty ribbon there. And then this one has a journaling card. This is from the K & Company Smash Pads. It says don't forget to bring. This is, I don't know, a printable. And this says Journey. There's a compass stamped up there. And here's another journaling card that I've had. It says Boarding Pass. And then these are a couple of the words I cut from the paper and stitched them together and stitched it on here. And this says, passport required for entry. Then on the back, I used this same paper to make this pocket. Stitched these ladies onto some coffee dyed paper and added another card. So this one is for Maria. I hope you like it, Maria. And please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.